All right, everybody find a place to settle in. We just got some tired goats. Hey, no.
Just eggs, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Not much to cook.
My name is Shay Rogers. I heard Marc Warnke was looking for a cameraman and we arranged a meeting. I've always loved the outdoors and figured this was my chance to see some country I wouldn't be able to access otherwise. Before meeting Marc, I had only experienced goats in a petting zoo. But by the end of the summer, I had come to believe that goats would drastically change the way people access the backcountry.
Goats make the backcountry available to people that normally couldn't go. Because, for example, in Idaho, 76% of our state is public land. If you can't walk and carry a pack, you're not going to see 25% of our state. And there's amazing things to see, and there's amazing lessons to learn. And I see people have this process when I take them in the backcountry and they're working physically to get there by just walking. There's this breakdown before this breakthrough. They're broken down by the elevation, by how they sleep and nutrition, and it provides this really opening in their hearts and making themselves available to things that they don't pay attention to anymore, mostly because we're standing like this with the screen in front of our face.
When you're hiking into the backcountry, there's a feeling of exhilaration that is undeniable, especially when you're going to someplace new. Every corner, every tree is a new experience. The sore legs and burning lungs give way to the thought of resting on an alpine lake that is virtually untouched by humans. The explorer in you lights up as you come across unmaintained trails, knowing that you're the first person that's been here in a long time.
Okay, come on, goats. Come on, goats. On, Rich. On, Rich. On. Thorn. Go. Fish for dinner.
It's one of those where I threw it, sitting there. I heard, bloop. I look over.
Yeah.
Yum. It's gonna be like smoky delicious. It's gonna be where like the tail and the fins taste good.
So Chester here is like my campmate. He's the only goat I'll still leave to be able to hang out next to the fire, because when you end up with 6 goats trying to crowd around the fire to get warm, it's a pain in the butt. But Chester's just a special goat. He was raised on public land with a guy that was literally like he was living on a public land with PackGoats, and so Chester was raised with a pack on him, and he has been back here since that forever. So he really knows how to warm himself next to the fire. He knows how to feed himself. He's just a wizard carrying a pack, and he's just got that something extra about him as a goat, where he gets stuff that the other goats don't get, and he knows how to navigate terrain that the other goats can't figure out. So he's really amazing that way. Every goat has something that makes them special or unique in a different way. Chester's special thing is that he's just has this heart and desire to lead, and he has also the wisdom because he knows how to navigate terrain with panniers on better than any goat I have by a mile. But he doesn't have what it takes in the goat world to be a leader in terms of being a butthole, because goats respect a goat that will pound the crap out of them. So here's the interesting thing about why pack goating works, is that goats are a herd-based animal. It's actually a matriarchal herd, so the girls lead. We don't have any girls here. So because I'm the alpha and because I'm at front, but what makes me unique as the alpha is that I'm the benevolent alpha. So I'm an alpha they fully respect and will stay away from if I want them to, because I got a squirt bottle and I got a loud voice and I'm kind of weird. But I dole out love, which no alpha doles out love. So for them, it's this really interesting combination that makes them gravitate towards it, where everybody wants to be around you. So honestly, they're a better trail companion than a dog.
18 miles from the trailhead and 25 miles from the nearest sign of civilization, the feeling of isolation in the backcountry is overwhelming. For me, there is a certain comfort in knowing that I have no control. No phone calls to answer, no problems to solve, no bills to pay. Anyone who has spent time in the backcountry knows that the time comes with a price. It's hard work to pack 8 hours a day, and usually you don't have the pleasures of eating a solid diet or sleeping in a comfortable bed. After a few days, it's not uncommon to begin to feel the stress of all the work build up, and everyone experiences this in a different way.
So I feel so conflicted sometimes when I'm back here, more usually around the third and the fourth day, and it usually shows up that I'm missing my kids and wife, and there's this really interesting tug and a pull between me and the things that I love and the things that I love. I love it out here, but I also love my wife and kids, and being with them is so meaningful to me, and being out here is so meaningful to me. And having those two worlds come together, that we do it together, is the ultimate solution, but it's just not always possible. I like to do stuff that's too hard and too much. So I constantly feel when I'm out here alone that this conflict of feeding this thing I have to feed inside of me and then starving another thing that I have inside of me. It's really a perplexing thing. I find that without good nutrition and without good sleep and good comfort, I'm literally not strong enough to be able to stand it. It's just a really interesting thing.
In the backcountry, you're forced in the present moment, forced to dwell in the absolute awe and beauty of your surroundings. The only option to combat the feelings of loneliness are to keep busy.
Woo! Oh, it feels good.
Yeah.
Hi, little forest chicken. Get out of the way, Chester.
It's okay, little buddy. It's okay.
Oh, look at Mama Bear. Good girl.
For us, we can use goats to occupy our time, taking them to graze, observing their behaviors, petting them. The joy of having pack goats is that you build a friendship and a trust with these animals. Oftentimes, it feels that you brought 10 of your friends into the wilderness with you.
Don't give up, Ridge.
I had a woman come to me and want to pack in, and so I have a way that I ask them, okay, what are you capable of, and I find out that information. Well, halfway up she kept pausing and pausing and pausing and needing breaks, and we had a 3,000 foot climb to get up into this lake, and she finally said, she goes, I'm sorry I have to keep taking breaks so much, I have a pacemaker. And I was like, what? And in the beginning I was kind of incensed because I was like, that's valid information I needed to know to make sure you were safe. I wouldn't have planned this. And I said to her, wow, that would have been super nice to know before I planned this, because now that 3-hour trip up in, or 4, is going to take 7. And now we're going to be setting up camp in the dark. And she said, I'm sorry. Sorry. She said, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't have been able to get my boys in here without you. And if I would have told you that I couldn't probably make it, you wouldn't have taken me to this amazing place. And she has this really neat memory that she gets to share with her kids now forever. It was a really meaningful trip for them. And it was all made possible by these silly pack goats.
You want an orange?